So, this is the last class in terms of the 7 elements of fiction, and this is where we are with something very crucial, that is tone. And why is this so crucial? Because right now I'm teaching you, I'm teaching, talking with you, and this gives me this very important tool, that is my voice, which I can modify, modulate. Remember voice modulation that you have had in so many of your speaking competitions. This is like that. So storytelling must have had started orally. That is the origin of the storytelling situation, and it always was within the realm of the storyteller that he or she could inflect his or her voice to create a certain tone. Now, how do we do that when we are writing and there is no way that we can read out our story? And which is why the reason that we cannot read out our story to the person that we want it to be read, especially the examiner, it becomes very important that we know how to create a certain tone. And remember, tone is something that belongs to the author. So the tone is kind of an emotional coloring that the author has. It may not be author's instinctive feeling. The author might be creating it in the story, like you will create in your story. It will be very important to see how you are starting a story when you have a few messages to deliver. You want to deliver a few social messages. How are you going to start your story? With what kind of a tone do you want to start your story? I mean, there was this movie. I guess you may have seen that movie's name was in a wrinkle of time, or in a wrinkle in time, where we see there's this lady who doesn't die, and for some she gets struck by lightning and she doesn't die, and the story starts with a very desolate situation where she's coming out of an accident which couldn't kill her. Now, you see, at the same time, we have a story incident which is going to tell us a lot about what we are going to find in the story later on. Though it is not so clear in the beginning that she did not die because of the accident. I mean, we feel that somehow she was saved and she did not get hit by the car or something, but that is not the case. She is not supposed to die. So anyway, so the movie starts in a very desolate manner, in a very depressing manner, and then suddenly we realize that this woman cannot die, and slowly the movie becomes upbeat. The music changes, the dress that people wear changes, but unfortunately you don't have these tools in your storytelling session. You have just words, and like I have tried to list out a few: realistic, somber, romantic, satirical, passionate. These are all tones, but these are all created through words, and that is what you have. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4 very important things to understand how to create tone. And this is not only important for your narrative writing. This is important if you are trying to write a descriptive one. When you're writing your persuasive stuff, paper 2, question 1, you need to very clearly understand what tone do I need to have to persuade my reader. Maybe you are asking that person to stop bombing a place, or maybe you're asking that person to donate a lot of money for such a certain reason. What tone do you need, and how do you create that tone? The first thing that you need is diction. This is choice of word. You want to call somebody lazy, you call somebody lackadaisical, you call somebody who is you call somebody with some exemplary person in history who was legendary, lazy in a legendary manner. And that is how you're creating tone. You just call him lazy, no one is really interested. The moment you say lackadaisical, you think, this means lazy, and this sounds a very chic, a lit word. So what does that mean? Maybe okay, let me read a bit more. And then you find that about the same person, there is a word, there is a situation where it sensitive, the word sensitive is used. So you have lackadaisical, you have sensitive, and then maybe after a few lines you realize that this person is also shown to take risks. Then you can't match. lackadaisical, lazy, sensitive, people who generally do not are afraid of a few things, which is why they are very vocal about what they feel through their senses, and then comes the risk taking. They don't match, and that is where stories fall flat, because you're not able to create a tone that is very unified across the story, right? So, I know it is not something so easy to do, which is why heavy practice is very important. And remember, tone is very useful to characterize. While you're characterizing, it is very, very useful. Also, tone does not remain the same across your story, it will change. Anyway, so your word choice controls your tone simply, directly. Then comes omission or inclusion of a certain fact or certain details. So, if say you are talking about a school as your setting, your school is your setting, and the most common thing about school is teaching, teachers, students, all that teaching, learning process, and you don't want to talk about that. So you are intentionally avoiding the academic circle that a school is, and you're trying to see the circle maybe as a space of enjoyment, maybe a space of merrymaking, maybe a space where you come and meet your friends, your world, and you are creating a very distinct tone there, maybe from say that I've written two words, somber and serious. They're very close to each other. Then there's a word called humorous, and then there's satiric. They're also close, but they're not exactly same. There's passionate, there's romantic, same. Passionate, zealous, similar, but not same. Similarly, when you think of this situation where you're talking about a school as if it's a space of merrymaking, you are creating a less serious tone about school, which should be connected to your theme, motive, whatever you want to do with your story. How is your character? What is your plot? Depends on all that. So if you are not telling something, that means you don't want to talk about that. So be very clear about it, that whether you want to talk about something or not. Then comes syntax, and I know this word is like going deep into your. I know I don't think you remember, but syntax is nothing but the science of constructing sentences, and which is basically this is grammar that you need to now grammar basically tells you where to place which word should be placed where, and there is this amazing thing called punctuation, which also can alter a lot of meanings. So I went to the park and I saw a man singing. This is a sentence. I just can change the order of the sentence and see it in a different way. Visiting the park, I saw a singing man. Sounds rhythmic, sounds poetic. I mean, it does not have to be poetic or rhythmic, but it's different and it gives a different feeling. It brings a different tone. So it actually is bringing a poetic tone here, a very rhythmic tone here, which kind of goes well. If I had said a fun fair instead of a park where there's a lot of music going on and then this is happening, and that would have brought a sense of rhythm in the whole scene. And that is what you can do with syntax by changing the order of words, of course, by making sure that the grammar is not mistaken, the grammar is all right. Right, and then comes imagery. Imagery is much easier because you've been doing this for a long time. Even all this, I mean, nothing of this is that you've not done ever. It's just that I am trying to put it in a more wrapped package, more identifiable package, so that it is easier for you to remember. And my imploration again would be to you that please try and go back to these videos whenever you can, and or you can take your notes. I hope this is technically the last video of 7 Elements of Fiction. So I believe that you've taken your notes enough. And again, if you have doubts, the forum on the Teams group is always open. You can come up and talk about your doubts. Again, coming back to imagery. So if you are trying to create a tone which is going to be very busy, you're trying to create a very busy tone, create a situation where everyone is busy. You show image where maybe it's a stock market scenario, BSE, Sensex, 2000 points down, Sensex. So you show the people that are going mad, how they're throwing their hands, how they're shouting, how they're yelling at the phone and doing hell lot of things. And that is where you're trying an image of busyness. You are successful, you will be successful to create tones like this when you know that images do carry tones. With images you're able to create sounds. Imagine, and I will come back to this when I do your poetic devices. It may not be me, it may be somebody else, but we will come back with poetic devices, which are very important in story writing as well as any other language task. So by the use of alliteration, the clinking of the iron gate immediately takes you there. So it's an audible imagery which gives you more tone, which gives you more emotional coloring, more feel that okay, this is what the writer is feeling, this is what the writer wants me to feel also. And that's he's creating that tone and it's giving me such a mood. And you as a writer also have to aspire to do that. That how you use sounds to create a certain image which will at the end create a certain tone. Like how do you want to describe your school without really being direct? Just describe the sounds. And you see, there are things happening in the reader's mind. The synapse is creating meanings in the reader's mind. So it's actually very easy. But again, this is impossible without this, or for that matter, this. So I feel this is very, very. I don't think this is something very new for you. But again, I'm saying I'm just repackaging, rewrapping it so that you remember it better. And again, I will be obliged that if you remember it better and if you come up with colorful performances in your IGCSE exam, which is of course far away, but not that far away, just 10 months. So be prepared. That is it. I don't have much to say in terms of tone, in terms of 7 elements, but I will come back or someone else will come with a more detailed class on plots, how different kinds of plots could be there, how can we have different types of actions, and more importantly, poetic devices. Thank you, thank you, thank you.